Good evening, Fernwood. It is your captivated friend Neil here, and it's time for us to be held captive together by watching this rerun season episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Today we will be watching Wednesday, January 28th, 1976's episode. We're in week 4. It's a really eventful episode. I feel the need to catch you up on some of the things that have happened since yesterday's rerun episode, and let's also then look at what happened directly before this episode on Tuesday. When it comes to the Hartmans, there are plenty of issues brewing. Before the episode we saw yesterday, we understood that Tom had some erectile dysfunction and Mary was feeling neglected because she was not getting the sexual attention that she wanted. Of course, yesterday we saw Tom go home with May Alinsky, and that began a short affair that was more than a couple days, but there was also some regret in Tom. Of course, Mary discovered that there was a connection between Tom and May Alinsky when she found a matchbook with May's name on it. Heather had some issues as well, which had to do with the mass murderer who killed the Lombardi family. Loretta and Charlie have found out from Dr. Furman that Loretta is expecting a child, so that's something that they're very excited about. I feel the need to cover some of the issues that have happened over the last 5 days because Mary, after finding out that Tom and May had had an affair, and also Heather had been held hostage in an old abandoned Chinese laundry, went over to the Chinese laundry to trade her life for Heather. We've been waiting for 5 episodes because people have found out and started to gather around. News crews and police and Tom and the whole family are waiting there. Well, some of them have gone home, like Grandpa Larkin and Heather, but the murderer is a young man named Davy Jessup, and Davy Jessup seems to be a bit loco in the cocoa. Davy has made a specific demand that he would like the Reverend Standfast to forgive him and a car that will help him get out of town. We'll see what happens. The Reverend Standfast did show up for a short while, but was too afraid to go to see Davy, so nothing has happened there. And it literally has been 5 episodes of us waiting for this hostage crisis to be resolved. Most recently, Dennis Foley of the Fernwood Police Department, who has had at least one inappropriate interaction with Mary at this point, has tried to sneak into the Chinese laundry and, of course, got bashed in the head and captured. May Alinsky pulled Tom away because she had an idea, and that idea was to go to the Reverend Standfast with some blackmail information to help get the Reverend over to Davy Jessup. May really just wants to save Mary's life. I think those are the big things that I got to cover, so let's take a look at this very suspenseful episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Look at them. They're talking to themselves now. Mary will never get out of there.
Pa, don't talk like that. It's bad for the child.
It's the truth. I never saw such a botch-up mess. They ought to go in there with a Sherman tank.
Are they ever going to get Mommy out of there, Grandma?
Oh, of course they will, darling. Pa, you are upsetting the child.
I'm hungry.
I'm upset.
Now, Heather, why don't you go up to your little bed and close your pretty eyes and go to sleep? And when you wake up in the morning, it'll all be over.
You mean Mommy will be dead?
Oh, Heather, no. Now, bite your tongue.
Might as well. There's nothing else to eat.
She might get killed.
Heather!
Well, I'm not going to bite my tongue if that's what you want.
Oh, no, that's just an expression. My grandma used to say it to me when I was little. It's just that I don't want you saying those things.
Well, it could happen. Innocent victims get killed all the time.
Now, Heather, that is enough. I don't want to hear one more word about people getting killed.
In that case, you had to burn all the newspapers and TVs.
That make me half an orphan.
Would what?
If Mommy got, who'd look after me? Would Daddy have to hire a housekeeper like Susie Tablett's father did when her mother ran away and never was heard from again?
Susie Tablet? Who in the world is that? I don't know anybody by the name of Tablet. Heather, you are getting so long. that next year I'm going to be sitting on your lap.
Well, this housekeeper hates her and punishes her when nobody's home.
And now there was a family by the name of Tibble over on the old Rothmeyer place, but they moved away about 2 years ago.
Well, this one practices voodoo and kills the goldfish. Is that what's going to happen to me?
Tablets, schmablets. Nobody's going to voodoo anybody. Besides, we don't have any goldfish. Now, Heather, I want you to look at me. Your mommy is going to be fine, just fine, and everything is going to be back to normal just as soon
As soon as that maniac shoots his way out.
Grandpa.
Don't forget that maniac already killed 5 people, a whole flock of chickens and whatnot.
Dave is not going to kill Mommy, is he, Grandma?
Of course he won't, dear.
Maybe he'll miss. Only anybody that can nail a chicken on the wing with a revolver.
Paul, why don't you have something to eat?
Maybe he'll run out of bullets.
There's some meatloaf in the icebox, Paul.
Meatloaf. You know, meatloaf always gives me heartburn. Maybe he'll forget and shoot himself first.
Okay. Hi, gang. Jesus down here, and we're still outside the killer's stronghold, where the crowd has begun to thin, but you can bet the drama continues. Tension is taut, nerves and rumors are running high, and you'll see all the action right here, live, as it happens, if it happens. And if it doesn't happen, we'll make it happen. Right, Cleet?
Right, Jesus.
Good. Excuse me?
Excuse me, sir. If we could just have a moment of your time. We're conducting exclusive interviews with people most closely connected with this ongoing tragedy of terror. We have here a Mr. Yerby.
Floyd.
Mr. Floyd.
Floyd Yerby.
Floyd Yerby, street maintenance engineer who's been on the line ever since this story broke.
Good. Mr. Yerby, could you tell us, I'm Jesus Herrera, your action reporter.
Okay.
How would you say that this catastrophe hits up trash-wise with recent Fernwood disasters?
Disasters.
Well, I would say that there's a different kind of trash in this here incident.
I see, sir. In what way?
What way? Well, you take the flood. Back in '63, there you had your basic mud and water. Pieces of furniture, houses floating down the street, something you could sink your broom into.
Sure.
But in a thing like this where a crowd gathers and there's no rain, well, section paragraph 26(9) paragraph.
Ah, the garbage code.
Sanitation code.
I beg your pardon.
Well, here you get a different kind of trash. Cigarette butts, you get takeout food garbage, things like that.
Well, good. Mr. Yerby, could you tell us, what's the trend in trash these days?
Ah,
Yes?
huh?
Any particular type of food or wrapper?
Switzer's licorice.
Switzer's licorice?
Licorice seems to dominate the candy wrapper situation. And I would say, and you can quote me, there's a toss-up in the garbage, excuse the pun, between the Colonel and Taco Bell. Well, back to the line.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Floyd Yerby. And now, back to you, Jesus Herrera.
No, thank you. Back to you, Cleet Meisenheimer.
Thank you, Jesus. This is Cleet Meisenheimer.
And Jesus Herrera, back to you, Chet, in the studio.
Excuse me, honey. What's happened, y'all? Anything new?
Oh, nothing new, honey. Did you get a little shut-eye?
Well, not a whole bunch. That back seat scratcher and a porcupine in heat.
About the only thing you missed was a popcorn bellyache.
Loretta, I wish you'd let me take you home, honey. You got to think of yourself and the baby.
Hush, Charlie. We'll be all right.
Oh, I don't believe this. Here comes the reverend.
God, Charlie. Thank the Lord our prayers have been answered. Mary's going to be saved.
After having failed in his first attempt to coax the deranged killer into giving himself up, the Reverend Standfast is back for yet another attempt, and we're going to try and bring him to you right now. Reverend, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir. I was wondering if you can tell us, sir, what are your plans in there exactly? In other words, your strategy, as it were.
Strategy? Well, my strategy is the strategy of the Lord. His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of
fine,
death.
Good, thank you, sir. But is it true that you're going to swear on a stack of Bibles that no law enforcement agency will pursue the killer for at least 24 hours?
Of course I am. I'm going into the lion's den like Daniel, with
Reverend,
nothing
you
but
are
this.
the
Oh my
bravest,
God!
most courageous thing, and we are so grateful. Really, thank you so
Well,
much.
are you one of my flock?
Well, actually, I'm a Baptist.
Well, may the Lord cause His countenance to shine down upon you.
Thank you.
Come on, here we go.
Oh my!
All right, Davy, Reverend Standfast is here,
and ready to go in. The stack of Bibles will be carried in by an unarmed officer.
All right, Reverend. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is fashioned the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He is glory.
Okay, that's far enough. All right, out. I don't want any cops in here.
Can't you stay?
No, he can't.
But not even for prayers?
Out! I don't want any cops. And close the door. Hold it, Reverend. What are you reaching for?
Well, Davy, this is just a little something for my hypertension. I mean, I would offer you some. It's the doctor's orders, but I really don't feel that you're old enough.
Gee, Reverend, I don't drink.
Well, that's good, Davy, because I don't either, and we all know the evils of drink.
Reverend Standfast?
Who?
Don't you remember me? I used to go to your church, Little Mary Shumway. Mary Shumway.
Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman. What a nice surprise. You're still alive.
I'm sorry, I keep meaning to get back to your church, but somehow or other I always get tied up with one thing or another.
Okay, let's get this over with, Reverend Sir. Please, if you could just go ahead.
Oh, yes. Well, all right. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here in the sight of God.
Wait a minute, that's not right.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I got so confused. You see, seeing Mary Hartman and this officer here so united is one as it was. Shall we pray?
No prayers.
No prayers.
Just swear.
You mean take the Lord's name in vain?
On the Bibles.
Oh, I saw. See, you mean the oath? I mean to say the oath on the. All right. One moment. I, Reverend Harold Billington Standfast, do hereby swear and affirm that neither the Fernwood Police Department, nor the Highway Patrol, or the County Sheriff's Office, or the National Guard, or the Des Moines County Vigilantes, or any official or quasi-official law enforcement group will stop or apprehend David Jessup for 24 hours after he leaves here in the car so provided for him. Amen.
Amen. Hey, Jessup, we're all set up for you. Your car's ready and waiting.
Well, I guess this is it. Reverend, I want you to walk out there with me.
Listen, isn't that nice of you, Davy? But you see, the thing is, I don't think that I should take the spotlight away from you.
Don't move. Goodbye, Mrs. Hartman. Thanks for everything.
It's all right, Davy.
Okay, Reverend, let's go.
All right, Davy, if you insist.
Hold it. Mrs. Hartman, I'm sorry if I've inconvenienced you or the Lombardis.
Back, everybody. Let them through.
Now, for my sake, for his sake, for God's sake, don't shoot!
Get that man out of there. All right, Davy. There's the car. Just put away your gun, get in the car, and drive away.
Davy Jessup, you're on target. Microphone, Davy. Clete Meisenheimer, Channel 6 News Team. Davy, I'd just like to ask you a few questions for the benefit of the shut-ins in our audience who may not have had the privilege of seeing this ongoing tragedy of terror in person.
Shoot. What?
Oh, Davy, you've had quite an unusual experience. Let's see. You've killed 5 people, you've killed 2 goats, and you've killed 8 chickens.
Goats and chickens.
You've held the local housewives here hostage, on TV as well as inside, and you've held a local police officer hostage, as well as the Reverend Standfast. Davy, tell me this. After all you've been through, how do you feel?
How do I feel? Hungry.
Very interesting. Davy, how old are you?
I'm 18.
18? How about that? Davy, what are your plans for the future?
Well, first I'm gonna get something to eat. After that, I've been thinking about either becoming an electrician's assistant or a male nurse.
Male nurse? I know you're in a hurry, Davy, so I won't keep you any longer. Well, thank you very much, Davy Jessup, teenaged mass murderer. Nice interview, Davy.
Thanks.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. A live interview with Fernwood's only teenaged mass murderer. Well, that's just about it from here, so now back to you, Jesus Herrera.
Hello?
All right, Davy. All right, Davy, just start the car and drive away. But remember, speed limit is 55 miles per hour. We're depending on you to set an example for the teenage drivers throughout the county.
Hello?
Police! What's going on? Why don't the police go in and get Mary out?
Oh, yeah. If it went for your hang-up, she wouldn't be in there in the first place.
So Mary and me are having a little trouble, George. So what?
Tom, I want you to know that I'm going to stand by you whatever happens in your marriage.
Nothing's going to happen, Charlie. Nothing. Why don't they go in there and get Mary out? Why?
Maybe she ain't all that anxious to come home. Well, you know, like that song says, only happy birds and Canadian hawkers fly back to the nest.
Canadian honkers?
What's wrong, Davy?
I didn't bring my license. I don't want to get arrested for driving without a license.
Oh, I'm sure we can make an exception in this case if you promise to drive carefully.
Okay, I promise.
Okay, then.
Promise I won't be arrested for driving without a license?
I promise.
Because, I mean, I'm in enough trouble already the way it is.
It'll be okay. I promise.
Well, oh, okay then. Walk this way, Reverend.
Stand back. Everybody stand back. There are 2 innocent hostages in that building that have to be released.
Now get my wife out of there.
Back out of the way. We have a lot of work to do here.
Excuse me, Lieutenant
Trask.
Trask. Lieutenant Trask, as the mastermind of the good guys, would you like to say a few words to our viewing audience, right, Uncle?
Why, certainly. I'm proud to be a member of a police department which has nothing to conceal. I've been a member of the department for 15 years. And although I was passed over for promotion as chief of police by a city administration that doesn't always realize that a public post is a public trust, elections will be coming up soon, and I'm sure that will all change.
Oh, good speech. Good speech. Thank you. Oh, well, tell me, Lieutenant, having this spectacular event, come to a heroic and successful and right-on conclusion, how are you feeling?
Well, I feel a little tired.
Good. Well, that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Lieutenant. I imagine you want to go inside now and get the hostages free.
Yes.
Thank you, Lieutenant Trask. Thank you.
We're here to serve and to protect.
Good. Oh, excuse me, Reverend.
Did you escape? Well, in a way, yes. He kick me out the car door.
Oh, well, as this tremendous drama is coming to a close, how are you feeling?
My will be done. I mean, thy will be done. I don't mean thy, I mean thy.
Well, do you find that religion is a big upper at a time like this?
Well, to me, religion is, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Jesus Herrera.
Jesus, that is a very original name. What is the English translation?
Jesus.
What did you say your last name was?
Excuse me.
Mary, hi. Are you okay? Oh, honey, I have been so worried. I've been shaking like a line of laundry in a high wind, and I wrote a song about it and everything. And you can't believe all the people in town that was here. Everybody was, and including, who from the payroll department. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, do you want me to sing my song for you?
May was here? May Olinsky?
Oh,
Mary,
excuse me.
Mary.
Excuse me, ladies. Excuse me, Mrs. Hartman, I'm sorry, but could you please answer a few questions for the benefit of our television audience right out there? I do know that our viewers are terribly interested in getting your reaction to this tremendously exciting event.
That dress she's wearing doesn't look good on television.
Your ordeal of being separated from your loving family.
That's us, Pa.
Hours and hours of agony facing death and, or mutilation at the hands of the teenage mass murderer. How do you feel?
Well, my lips are chapped and my back aches, but that happens to me a lot. Actually, I don't really feel as bad as I thought I would.
Excuse me, thank you very much. Very good.
I'm so grateful she's through that ordeal. It sure was a narrow escape.
It sure was. The way that TV fella was poking that microphone in the face, I thought he'd knock her teeth out.
Oh, I get goose pimples all over every time I think of Mary being locked in that Chinese laundry with that mass murderer. Oh, I don't know why I'm saying all this. It's all over now, and all's well that ends well, but I'm just so wrought up with nervousness, I can't seem to settle down. I think I'll bake a cake.
Who's having a party?
Nobody. It's to celebrate Mary's being snatched from the jaws of death. I wonder why they say jaws. It makes dying sound like you're being eaten up by an alligator. Oh, I know. Why did I say that? I don't know. I just can't keep from talking. I guess I'll start on my cake. Heather, you want to help me? You're probably a nervous little wreck yourself. I don't know why they allow all this television with these things going on. It just agitates children right out of their little minds.
This is on television?
Oh, you betcha. Right there, red light.
Is this the family hour? Because this is a lot of violence for the family hour.
Now here are some scenes from the next episodes of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
I said, Tom, when a pig strays out of the wallow, sometimes it don't get back in.
I said our marriage is over.
Well, what the hell's the difference?
If their marriage breaks up, it will be a terrible tragedy.
I told you I know about May.
Look, the thing about May is really not anything...
I don't ever want that name mentioned in my house.
And that is the end of one of the big first storylines in Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. I'm not sure how to sum up all of the things. I think this one, the things I noticed on this watch were dumb little details. And I know that Clete Meisenheimer and Jose Herrera, I feel a bit confused about why there are two reporters there doing what looks to be the exact same job. I couldn't tell you what the difference in what they were doing was, so there you go. Of course, behind the scenes, we know that May Alinsky helped to save Mary's life, and that is something meaningful to me. I think May is a character that could be very misunderstood. May herself wants to be a good person, I think. Also is very lonely. Tom, I think, at this point of this episode, Tom was trying to disconnect himself from May. And I think he understood the harm that he had done to his marriage at this point. And Mary is just in her emotions about it. And I'm not trying to dismiss those emotions. Those are vital emotions, and they really need to be addressed. And this is the second big problem in Mary and Tom's marriage. There are other problems, as we've mentioned, but something about that is getting worked through. Of course, we're seeing Dennis here, and Dennis has been very clear since the first time he laid eyes on Mary that he was taken with her. And if you've watched later, you can see how complicated that whole mess gets. But I feel like this was a big moment for Mary and Dennis in terms of what goes on with them. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who are just joining us, so maybe go back and watch some of the episodes you didn't watch. The things that get me, the dumb details that I mentioned earlier, like the officer that comes in with a stack of Bibles and he's naked to show that he's not armed, but he still has patches on his shoulders to show that he's Fernwood PD. That amuses me. I also didn't discuss earlier the relationship that built up between Mary and Davy Jessup, and I think it's really sort of sweet and odd underneath the obvious violence that's going on, but the relationship between Mary and Davy was almost maternal. It was Mary doing her best to listen to him, and I have very complicated feelings about why Mary showed up here. I don't believe that it was only to save Heather. I feel like there's a bit of a self-destructive element to her taking this on. Of course, she doesn't want to die, but there's something that is very hurt, and is, as we see in the next episode chunk, we know that she's very angry about finding out about May. So, hey, that's a lot going on. And apparently the focus of the episode directly after today, which we won't be seeing, well, it's going to focus on exactly that. Tom and Mary's relationship and how it happens to be over. Or so they say. Today I'm shining the spotlight on a very special show that is called Work in Progress that you can see on Showtime. The first season has been available, and you can also probably buy it on Amazon Prime. It's the story of an aging lesbian woman in Chicago who is dealing with mental health issues, and I feel like it really cuts deep on how relationships work in the queer community and how people struggle with their mental health, and even when they're getting the help that they want, they still screw it up. And that's maybe different from Mary Hartman, because Mary might look for help, but she never gets the right help. And I think a difference between Work in Progress and Mary Hartman is that even when you're getting the right help, it's not easy. You can still screw it up. So, hey, check that out. I'm going to leave a trailer for that right here, because that's what I'm doing this rerun season. That is our rerun season of Mary Hartman. Tomorrow we're going to go just a little bit in the future, but I'm not telling you exactly how far just yet. We've got some big things to look out for in the next week or so. Thank you so much for being held captive with me today, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.